Hello viewers, this is Bhavana Bhatia and I welcome you all to 19 Influencers to Talk on COVID-19 series in association with TechXP. Today we have with us somebody who's a renowned brand strategist, startup mentor and a social media advisor. In a career spanning over 20 plus years, I bring to you a notable keynote speaker who has played multiple roles of branding, marketing, international operation, official spokesperson and director branding, ICFI Group, none other than Sudhakar Rao. So Sudhakar, firstly, a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bhavna, for inviting me for your series now, and I'm very, very happy to be on your show.
Thank you so much, Sudhakar. So the first very question is the viewers would like to know is what impact has the COVID-19 had on the education sector?
COVID-19 has brought in lockdown, and lockdown has got an impact on education sector.
Sure.
In the sense that the schools have been closed and the colleges have been closed, institutions, coaching centers, anything to do with education has been closed. In the sense, physically sitting together in a classroom and learning together has been suspended for a while. That is the impact which is direct for all of us to see right after this COVID-19 outbreak has taken place. In education sector, generally it is said that it is resilient to any crisis, but the impact is something which we cannot deny. The classes have gone, academic schedules have actually gone awry, and some of the students who are planning to write entrance examinations for next set of career options, they are all stranded now. So a whole set of inflections across the stream,
Sure.
from school ed, from higher secondary education to professional education, research, all formats have been disrupted, at least for the time being, in education sector. So my answer is yes, we are impacted.
Sure. So, Sudhakar, your expertise lies a lot into design thinking. Now, how do you feel design thinking can be incorporated in the current scenario? Could you throw some light on that?
Design thinking is basically a problem solving tool
Sure.
with use of technology or without use of technology. Now, what does design thinking do? Design thinking identifies the problems, studies the problems thoroughly. After having studied the problem, you will have to go and develop a small prototype after discussing with those people who are involved in the probable solution, which means those guys who are currently engaged in dealing with the problem will actually give you the solution if you follow some techniques. And that's what design thinking enables you. So you discuss with them, you develop a small prototype, make it acceptable, and then you build it in scale, and then that is the solution where you will have right from day zero the involvement and engagement of the user group. So that's in short is design thinking. Now in a situation like this, whether there's a situation like this or not, we expect that people should use design thinking to solve problems. More so now, in a situation like this, I think we can't have too much of luxuries, neither time nor money nor energy. In a scenario like this, problem solving is going to be very, very important, and those who are able to solve problems will be most sought after, either in your career, or in actually setting up new careers, or in terms of solving problems that the humanity is facing. Anything will be looked at by this application in a major way. My suggestion therefore is, for the students or for managers and practicing engineers or anyone in that sense, to look at design thinking as a major learning, understand the processes, and then keep solving problems, to highlight yourself and uphold yourself as a person who as a problem solver, rather than as a person who is just an employee.
Sure. So, Sudhakar, a great answer right there. Wanted to know from the viewers that what challenges does the education industry, as you've been talking about in your previous answer, is facing, and every challenge leads to an innovation. So, what do you feel are the innovations also done at this time to tackle this current situation?
As soon as the lockdown has been announced, some of the people who have been agile have brought in a few changes to their format. That totally cannot be called innovation. We will look at innovation in a little while from now. But the kind of impact that we have been having uh, threw up a challenges like one in terms of the learning teaching efficiencies. Now the student is at home and the teacher is teaching from wherever they are, say even they are teaching from home.
Sure.
Now, is the learning going to be very efficient? Is the learning going to be very effective? What are our learning goals? The whole paradigm has been impacted, and therefore, the erstwhile systems and erstwhile goals and objectives will have to be redone in slightly different way. In the sense that
Sure.
you will not have to take the entire lesson through, whether it is school ed or higher ed. You can't make people sit down and teach them, even in normal situations. Even after 1 year, when they come back to your classroom, you can't do that. When you learn during crisis, you will have to apply that even in peacetime, which means the teachers will have to be oriented towards how do they handle these learning teaching sessions to be more effective and more efficient, and how do they allow these students to always source from open source content that's available and add value to the content while the teacher is actually in front of you, which means the fixed format of a particular lesson being taught in the class will not happen again.
Hmm.
That particular lesson or that particular topic and concept will be added a lot of value to, and will also be engaged with quite well by invoking the open source content that's available by the students, and the teachers will have to learn to allow them to do it, which means no longer the classroom will be commanded by single focus of teacher talking from one particular side and all the students looking at that particular side. Now that is completely disrupted now. So efficiencies, effectiveness, and the paradigm of teacher learning, a teacher being very, very open, because the students are anyway belonging to what is called digital nativeness, whereas the teachers are not. So the orientation is more on the teaching side or on the teacher's side, to be very quickly adopting the new systems of teaching. However,
Hmm.
there are other people in the education sector like vendors who supply education technology. I think more and more institutions will adopt new methods of education technology, which we call edutech. Edutech will be on boom. Adoption of new technology will be on boom. The new ways of connecting to students will be on boom. Uh, the record and the proof of showing what you have delivered to the student will be at premium. Therefore, the new ERPs and the new softwares that can capture student development and the delta of the transformation that you have been able to provide will always be captured. And the parent teacher meetings can be done away with completely the way the traditional methods are till now engaged. I think we will have parent teacher meetings online. Parent teacher meetings will be supported by data, and all the data will be captured into your learning systems. Either you have an existing ERP or you develop your own LMS, but you will have to capture everything and try to create your own differentiation. Now the fight is for online reputation management on one hand, and on the other hand, to build academic differentiation by yourself. Now,
Sure.
when you have to do academic differentiation on yourself, you will have to train your teachers very quickly to adopt new technologies and new methods of connecting to students. Students, I'm telling you again, are well connected and they can accept this new method, whereas the teachers will have to, in my view, catch up very, very quickly. When we do this, I think we would have created the differentiation and more of your digital footprints, more of role models on digital. The school leaders and the college leaders and the university captains, all of them will have to create their thought leadership presence very much online, which hitherto was quite okay when you had the luxury of meeting everyone in your own sweet time in the offline mode.
Sure. That's a very interesting take right there, Sudhakar, with how the education industry is going to be evolving, and which now leads me to my final question: is that what lies in the road ahead, 6 to 12 months down the line, for the education industry, and also what would be the advice you would like to give to the education leaders currently in the country?
Well, there are a few things that I would like to suggest very crisply. Number
Sure.
one, in the first 3 months, people will do catch up. Some of them will get used to the new phenomenon, and then in a jiffy, the 3 months will pass away. till anything great is happening. Now, after 3 months, there is a second set of 3 months. That is your question says 6 months, right? So the B part of your the first 6 months, that is the after the initial 3 months, is going to be involved in capacity building in your online properties. Everybody will ramp up. There's no other option. That's my prognosis. And after that, another 3 to 6 months, that is in your question about 9 months from now,
Sure.
people will be working on how to create differentiation. One is catching up, the other one is capacity building, and the third one is actually creating differentiation. And after differentiation, I think things will quickly come back to normalcy in education, because education is one of the sectors which will be opened up little late after the lockdown is ended, because physical congregation is going to take place. But education is resilient of any such crisis, so it will be the first one to recover from the aftermath of lockdown and COVID. So I do not see any great problem in education sector. But the initial few months, as I explained, in these two phases of catch up as well as capacity building as well as differentiation, that will stay forever. Those who have tasted online, those who have tasted new paradigms, will never go back, and the competition will stay there. So when the competition is actually there online, why will anybody actually go offline to do? Offline, there are certain few things which you will have to do, but it is going to be a healthy mix of offline and online, and an interesting array of models coming up to capture the mindset of the students and the influencers and the parents forever to come. For example, more and more institutions at higher ed will be compelled to use online cases. There
Sure.
are case studies that are available in business schools that usually do. Now you don't have the luxury of running the case study in the classroom. Now you can easily do online cases, are pretty easy. ICFI Business School, for example, has produced several cases so far, about 8,000 cases. Now they are much in demand, and more scenarios are suiting to use cases online and run their classes. So conceptual teaching is a passe. It's over now. I think this is the era where we can use more of cases. That is one example that I can give you. The other suggestion that I have for the entire education sector is to believe that it is not the strongest who is going to survive, but it is the smartest who is going to adapt to the situation will survive, and education will be that. The learning sector and the sector that is the backbone of this country shall survive, and we are all in it together.
Sure. So thank you so much, Sudhakar, on that note that we are all in it together. Once again, it was a great pleasure having you. Once again, a big thank you, Sudhakar.
Thank you for hosting me. Bye.
Thank you.